Hello, welcome back. It's Shani Renee. Today I'm going to be telling you guys about where the planets thrive, what signs they thrive the most in. Now, in my other video, I talked about where they're most at home at, which is basically, where they're most comfortable. But in this video, we're talking about where they thrive at the most, where they're exalted at. And if you haven't watched the video where they're most at home at, you can click the link. I'll leave a link in the description box so you can check that out. Now, before I start, I'm going to let you know that not every planet has like an exaltation placement. And if it doesn't have an exalted placement, then that means its best possible placement is its home sign, which you can see in that video, right? And the other video I just mentioned. So let's get started. So the sun is, I mentioned that it is at home, the most at home in Leo, but it is exalted, meaning it thrives in its best possible energy, in its highest energy, in the sign of Aries. And this is because the sun is all about shining. It's about standing out, being bright, right? And shining the light to the world. But Aries is the self. Aries is the sign of self. It's the sign of, celebrating the self. Speaking of the sun, it's like coming in, me trying to move a little bit. So Aries is the sign of self, right? It's all about freedom, the extreme independence, like just, really walking in your truth. That's Aries. So that is why the sun thrives or is exalted in the sign of Aries. So if you have the sun, if you're Aries sun, if that's the sign you tell everybody, your sun sign, then you know that it's really thrives there. This is why some people think that, Aries can be selfish, which they can. Selfish is not always bad, but it can be to the extreme when the sun is in Aries. So the moon, which is kind of like the moon is where it's at home in Cancer. We talked about that, so it's comfortable there, right? But the moon is exalted in the sign of Taurus, okay? And I think this is because with the moon, it really changes, energies and emotions. That's what the moon is all about, like shifting that. And Taurus is the most grounded sign. It's like the most grounded, steady sign. So the moon does really well there because Taurus um, can get those emotions grounded and really keep them from being out of control, and so it's just a really beautiful blend of energy there. Mercury. Mercury, although it feels most at home with Gemini, and it can feel at home in Virgo too. It's actually, because it rules over both, it's actually exalted in Virgo. So though it feels comfortable in Gemini energy, if you have Mercury in Virgo, it just does its best performance there, like as far as finding solutions, analyzing, processing information, working out all the details. If you have Mercury in Virgo, like you can break some shit down, find a solution quick, 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 and you probably know everything about everything. Where when it's in Mercury's in Gemini knows a little bit about everything, right? All over the place. Virgo knows everything about everything. Well, it knows everything about what its area. It masters its area of expertise. All the details, all that. Okay, so Mars is exalted in Capricorn. Mars is at home in Aries, as we talked about, and it can also be at home in Scorpio. It is the planet of action, going after, right? So it's exalted in Capricorn because Capricorn is the sign of longevity. It can see things through. So where Mars in Aries and Scorpio may feel at home there, it has that burst of energy to take off, right? Especially in Aries, but it has a hard time seeing it through and stay in the course. But when it's in Capricorn, it has both the energy to start and keep up the momentum for however long it takes, and takes that action. Okay, Mars in the sign of Capricorn a lot of times makes me think of like military, like because Mars is the planet of war. Capricorn is the sign of tradition and institutions, right? Strict rules. So that really brings that to mind. So if you have a Mars in Capricorn, you may very well be someone who has been interested or participated in being in the military, or you might even have like come from a family of people in the military. Okay. Saturn. Saturn's home is Capricorn also can be feel at home in Aquarius because it rules those planets, but it is exalted. It thrives in the sign of Libra because Saturn is, again, the planet of order. It's the planet of karma. It's the planet of, structure, hard work, lessons, all that. And Libra is the sign of justice. Okay, it's the sign of complete balance, justice, order. It wants everything fair. So this is why if you have Saturn in the sign of Libra, that whole function of responsibility and making sure things are done, you're going to thrive and excel in those areas. If you have Saturn in Libra, you might even definitely might be interested in working in law, like being a lawyer, even being a judge, possibly like police officer, but I think more like the administrative side of the legal field. Okay, so that's like big boss vibes, big boss vibes. So that is all about the exaltations. In the next video, we're going to talk about detriments, and we're going to talk about falls, and that is basically like the worst possible placements where these planets can be.